Good evening and hello to everybody. This is All Things Sky Blues. This is the preview of Swansea. I will be joined shortly by Barney, a Swansea fan, and he does a podcast that he'll talk to you about in a moment. First of all, just remember that we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's obviously scrolling down the bottom just there. Obviously, we are on YouTube as well. Please give it a like and follow. First of all, I would like to say, though, people that listen to our Twitter space on a Sunday night will know that a young girl called Lucy Summer is going to be running next year for charity for a friend called Josh. She'll be raising money. He's having he's got a rare condition called, again, apologies if I can't pronounce it right, hyperage syndrome. And is having a life-threatening operation coming up. So again, please support that as much as you can and give as much as you can. So I would like to welcome Barney to our stream. Hello, Barney. How are you?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries at all. So first of all, if you'd like to introduce yourself and let us know where we can find you and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm Barney Lloyd. I'm a co-host of You Jack podcast, which is a Swansea City podcast. By no means the only one out there, but it's myself and my co-host Luke, an Australian guy who's lived in South Wales for about 10 years now. So we've got an interesting gimmick, if nothing else. Obviously, we kind of primarily aim that at Swansea fans, but if you know you've got a game coming up against us, have a listen, because we'll usually do a preview and probably a kind of pessimistic review of the game afterwards as well. So if you want to come and see us have a meltdown, we're at UJack Podcast on Twitter, Instagram. We are on Threads, but we've not kind of kicked off there as much as we thought we would. But come and have a look and have a listen as well.
Yeah, definitely. And what was that? What was the podcast called again? Sorry.
So it's You Jack podcast, which is I don't know. I'm not sure if I can swear on these things, but it's a play on You Jack something else, which is a sort of an affectionate thing we'll say to our players, and Cardiff fans will think is as an insult to us, but we love it.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So we'll dive straight into it then, and talk about sort of the history of our relationship together, if you like. I did make a note the last time that we actually beat you. It was at home, and it was 1981.
Well, when we talked about us being a bit of a bogey side, I had no idea we were stretching back that far. That's weirdly impressive for us. Yeah.
It's a 15 game not winning run for us, and we were so close on the 17th of the 12th last year when we were flying and went 3-0 up quite convincingly, quite comfortably. And then you guys made a few changes, but I think in general we capitulated. We thought that we'd won the game, and it went from bad to worse, really. How do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, that game kind of summed us up for the last couple of years. We can kind of be the worst team you'll come up against and the best team in the space of about 20 minutes. It was the same thing West Brom at the weekend. We were 3-0 down, just looked awful, just really out of sight, out of the game. Pulled it back to 3-2, and it really looked like we were going to get at least a point. And you just think it's like, I'd prefer sometimes if we could just have it a little bit more conventional. And that game against you in last December was no different. A great point. And I think it was 0-0 then in the fixture down in South Wales.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit more, good for the heart rate anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, it's, I just don't know what it is. Look, you're a good footballing side, and I am constantly, whenever we play out, it's always been a close game. There's no one that's really flew away with it. I think most of the games, to be fair, have ended in draws. You haven't necessarily won it, but it does. That 3-3, like you said, epitomises, the strangeness of the championship that it is, and it was just heartbreaking. And I know my fellow colleague Josh, he was down. He was livid, absolutely livid. I'm a little bit more level-headed, but he was absolutely livid, and rightly so. Like I said, I thought we, rather than you coming back and winning it, even though the changes you made worked, I think we kind of capitulated a little bit more than we should have done, really. And it was one of them games. Like I said, most of the games that we've played have ended in draws, just like obviously the one that you mentioned at your place, the 0-0, a few months later. But it's one of them. So obviously onto the new season, onto the new game. How have you made very new signings? Explain what you guys have done in this window.
Yeah, it's been like a really unconventional summer for us. So I started sort of May time thinking, as long as we have a nice quiet summer, keep the manager, maybe bring in a couple of faces, it should be nice and a nice kind of foundation for us. So obviously, because that sounded like a reasonable ambition, we since had new manager, new technical director, new investors. The summer was a really, really, I was going to say a weird time, but it's like I should have prepared, because we're just an absolute bonkers club. Nothing's ever straightforward or as simple as it should go. But the upside of that is, there have been a lot of new faces through the door. We are actually plugging a lot of gaps that just anyone could see needed filling. New boys up top. We've hopefully fixed the goalkeeper situation. There's new players coming in defence. To be honest, all over the pitch. We still got a few links because there is 2 weeks left, and we're trying to keep hold of some players. It's that point now where all of I think the fan base are thinking, this has been a weirdly good summer. It feels too good. There's definitely going to be some mad trolley dash and all the players who could put us into a promotion. Well, at least a challenge, will be sold. But no, the short answer is I've actually been really impressed with the recruitment. I won't go through all of them just because there's actually been a weird amount of names, but like Jerry Yates coming in from Blackpool, Carl Rushworth coming in goal, and even just Josh Key on a free from Exeter. It seems to be there's finally kind of a coherent plan there. There's actually... Yeah. And it sounds so simple, but before it's been like, who's available? But I feel like now there's a proper plan, like what areas need filling, who's actually available at a good price, and it doesn't have to be, this kind of thing of like just solely look for players who are cheap and have a lot of resale value. There's players who are, in the peak of their career, not a huge amount of resale value on paper, but I think our owners are finally starting to realise, if you have that, that promotion push, as obviously, I hate to bring it up, but obviously look at like Luton now, look at yourselves. If the playoff final had gone differently, it's that thing where you can, as long as you have depth and an established kind of squad, the finances now just far outweigh that if you get promoted. So a long-winded way of saying I'm pretty happy with things so far, but there's a lot of time that could change my usually glass half full approach of that.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I think you've made one of the shrewdest signings, if I'm honest, in Jerry Yates. I was crying out for him to come to Cov. I think he would have been, him and Sims at the time.
Yeah.
I think would have worked wonders. Obviously, they've had time at Blackpool together as well, so they've got that link there as well. But from our point of view, we've bought really, really well, and obviously you might be able to tell me a little bit more about Latibeaudiere and what to expect. Obviously, we were linked with him pretty much at the start of the window. We carried that through and we got him over the line. The honest answer is, obviously, I went to the home game at the CBS, and I've watched him at Leicester, and he all went to Shrewsbury as well, which was his debut for Cov. And I'm just getting more and more impressed with the lad. He is one hell of a defender. He likes a tackle, which I like as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what to expect from Latibeaudiere.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, in that side, I think you'll see some of his best football that he's played, in his career so far. I think it was a weird one. So last summer we lost Ryan Manning on a free, and that was a lot more publicised. It seemed to be like a real talking point. But with Latibeaudiere, it kind of went a little bit under the radar. It was sort of, we knew the contract situation. It didn't seem, at least from the outside, like there was a real strong effort to keep him. And I really thought that was a bit of a wasted opportunity. If I'm honest, I don't think we saw the best of him at Swansea, but I don't think he was a bad player either. Basically, he was used to kind of plug the gap at right wing back. We knew, and Russell Martin, the ex-manager, knew that wasn't ever going to be his best position. We knew, like, playing that sort of the left centre back of a back three was where he looked strongest. I'm not sure from what I've seen, he's operated there for you, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, he has. I think, you see, we signed Binks as well, who's a left-footed centre back. So I think eventually, because obviously Fads our centre half is getting that slightly older. So I don't know whether, even though he's getting better with age, personally, but I don't know whether he's going to play every single game. So I think, the way that I view it anyway, the plan would be to play Binks, Bobby Thomas in the centre, and then Lati on the right. But at the moment, he is predominantly being on the left-hand side.
Well, I think it's, as we said, I think a really kind of shrewd acquisition. I mean, like, we're a couple of games in, and I mean, I've seen him already turn out for you boys, and you think, it's like we knew he had that in the locker, and I think, considering it's I think a free signing in a Mark Robbins team, I think you're going to get real kind of ability out of him, because he was never this player destined for the scrap heap. Like I say, I really thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Obviously knows Jake Bidwell quite well.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It just makes sense as transfers. You look at obviously some of the business other clubs have done, and there's been, it's already the hardest league in the world to get out of, and teams are making really shrewd signings. And I looked at that and I thought, that's up there with some of the best, certainly the best free transfers I've seen this summer.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure whether it was a complete free though, was it? I think we had to pay a nominal fee for him, I believe. You might know more than me.
I never quite know how this happens. I always used to be under the impression if a player's out of contract, gets to January, and any time from there clubs can approach. I think now, because he was like under 23 or under 24, there is a fee. So as you say, it might be a sort of nominal fee. But I think I look at it and I think, if we could have just made more of an effort to tie him down. But I don't know, maybe he saw his future elsewhere, and good on him. I think he's generally popular with the Swansea fan base. I think the worst thing anyone could say about him from our end was that maybe we just never quite got the best out of him. But I think maybe our loss might be your gain, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, obviously you just mentioned there about the fans and stuff. What kind of character was he?
Do you know what? He kind of really imbibed a lot of the culture of our club. It's very kind of community based. It's got a small city, really, Swansea, and a big part of that is, like I say, very fan driven. He really, I mean, like the really obvious example was the South Wales derbies. He got really into that. Not from Swansea, but like, what do you want to see most when you go up against your rivals? Is players from the outside who get that, and that only kind of endeared him more to the fans. So, it's one of those things, he doesn't have to leave with kind of legend status to be, like I say, largely pretty popular with the fan base. And I think I like to think that's reciprocated, because I think he did have a good few years down here. But like I say, a really good, I think right now with where you boys are at, I think that's, an upward step in his career, and good on him.
Yeah. Do you think, again, just going back to his position slightly, do you think that the fact that he's so versatile kind of hindered him cementing a place in, whether it was right wing back or, do you think his versatility held him back slightly?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think especially I think over the last couple of years at Swansea, it's been really well publicised that we've had really big gaps in the squad. And I think when you're a player that can fill a number of roles, on one hand, that's a manager's dream. But then there's that weird sort of cut-off point where you suddenly just start becoming a utility player. And I think that, mixed with injuries, it almost felt like he was a bit of a spare Latibeaudiere in the cupboard. We never quite knew what to do with him, which was odd, because, like I say, Russell Martin seemed to always kind of say that this, I can tell you, is his best position, but that was kind of never reflected in his game time either.
Right.
So it's not the worst thing in the world being able to play a number of roles, but yeah, could we look at it and say this is his one position and nobody else gets in there? And no, I don't think we could.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. So what kind of threats then do you see from us?
To be honest, this is, we talked about you guys being the bogey team. It's like I wish I could come in and tell you I'm really confident about the weekend, because I think well, the big one that really comes out for me is Ellis Sims. Now, I know obviously you kind of had a bit of a mixed reception against Leicester. I really thought you boys were unlucky in that game to not come away with anything. Looked fantastic, on the weekend against Middlesbrough. Godden looked fantastic. I think there's a worrying amount of strength and depth your end. Haji Wright looks fantastic. There's players that all over that team that can hurt us. It's a similar setup in terms of formation, but in terms of the way you guys play, I think that's very kind of disconcerting when you guys go forward, and I think that was reflected in the game against Middlesbrough. So, I mean, they're certainly. I mean, Haji Wright looked like a fantastic acquisition. I know he didn't start against Middlesbrough, but if you can bring on people like that, I think we're in for a really tough one on Saturday. So I can see from the other end why there's a lot of justified excitement from Coventry fans. Yeah, so I think we need to be. I think in many ways this is going to be the toughest game of the season we've had so far, and it's reflected in that kind of buzz you've got coming around the club.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, Robin. We would like Robin to have a headache and not make selection easy. And at the moment, he's got headache literally all over the pitch. From goalkeeper all the way through to striker. Obviously, this is probably hopefully going to be the last time that I do mention it. But obviously, the game where we'll be missing Gus Hamer. Because he was instrumental for us. But we showed against Middlesbrough how good that we actually can be. Without somebody like that, people have got to step up. And we've got the sale of Vic has given us, so much, and the investment from Doug King, it's just given us so much all over the pitch. And, we've pretty much got 2 full 11s, and we could literally put anybody out there and they would give anybody a go. I would like to think, obviously, I know we went out the cup and things like that, but, I think he had a little, we had Ryan Howley playing in not his best position, which was centre back. Another little things like that, embedding in players. Some people take longer than others. Milan, for instance, the right wing back. He was some of the clips that I've seen from Herivine where he was previously. He was tanking down that right. I think it's just going to take him a little bit longer. Hopefully, he does it against you guys and gets that ball across. But look, we've got Sakamoto to come on. Obviously, there is some arguments whether he is going to start Hadji or whether he's going to start Sims with Godden. Godden will start. It's just who he partners that does it really. But I think pretty much at the moment, everything sort of speaks for itself, because they're it's theirs to lose, if you like. So as long as they're playing well and they're winning, they'll keep the shirt for me, really. But it'll be interesting about Lati.
And I think as well, sorry to interrupt, but it's one of those things where like a lot of Swansea fans are looking at Coventry in terms of summer business as a real kind of point of reference. So the thing that's been rumbling on all summer is, will we keep or sell Joel Perreault? And a lot of us look at the whole Victor Gyökeres saga as the way to do it. So it's obviously like a phenomenal fee you guys couped for that, but it was never a case of let that money kind of burn a hole in your pocket and just go out and spend money just for the sake of it. I think the money spent has been really shrewd. That some of the links you guys have got at the moment are really reflective in that, and I think even players like Casey Palmer, who was obviously at at Swansea, but seems to be, he had a real mixed time with us. But again, it's one of those things. There's a good blend there of obviously players who were part of that team last season and players coming in to kind of complement it. It's, as you say, it's a nice problem to have, isn't it, for Robins?
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to your expectations then. What do you expect from 2023-2024 season?
Well, the first thing is it's never dull with us, as I suspect it probably is with a lot of Championship clubs. When we did the season preview, I said 7th as a prediction because I thought that sounded one of those things where it's like you want to be optimistic, but you don't want to get ahead of yourself and look stupid in a year's time. To be honest with you, I think we've had a bit of a mixed start. I think we genuinely will look more of a contender to maybe sneak into the. Oh God, I can feel this coming back to bite me in a year. I feel like we will look more of a front-footed team this year, somebody that might creep in. Whereas last year it was, we beat Cardiff in April, and BBC reported, okay, that'll be Swansea safe, and then we finished just outside the playoffs. I think obviously the style of football's going to change. Well, it just has changed a lot already under Michael Duff. It's a lot more versatile game by game. There's not a clear philosophy there. He's very much reactive to different opposition, which is a bit of a weird one for us to kind of get our heads around because it has been this very at all costs, short pass and tiki-taka stuff. So, that's that. We're clearly a team in transition. I'm not expecting it all to click right away. There's new signings in the door, which is great, but they're going to take time. It's a similar story our end. It is never dull. You never quite know what you're going to get from us. But what I would say is generally, like I say, the foundations seem a lot more sturdy than they have in recent years, which generally left us feeling a lot better. But it's football fans. It'll only take a couple of bad results for everyone to start going full meltdown. You know how it is.
Yeah, we know that. We definitely know that one. Right. So, on to that then. On to the game. Can I get a prediction out of you?
Yes, you can. Do you know what? This is not what you want to hear. I'm going to go for a home win. I think there's a bevy of players for you guys that could cause us problems. So, and we're still settling in with a new team. So I'm going to say both teams to score. Let's go 2-1 home win.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I would like to say that we're going to win. But obviously, because of the history that we've got, and you are at the moment a little bit of a bogey team, but hopefully that will end on Saturday. But I always say, draw your away games and win your home games, and you'll be somewhere close. And I would be happy to come away with a point with you guys. I think there will be a couple of goals in there, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think that's fair to say, but hopefully we can sneak a 2-0, a 2-0, 1-0, something like that. That would be icing on the cake. That would be lovely. But no, like I said, I'll be happy with a 1-1 because I think both teams are good enough. You're always tough to break down. You are a tough side to beat. But with us, with our team this year, with the bounce that we've got from everybody coming in, we are a different kettle of fish this year. I have to admit. So look, I worry about your front two in Pro. Anybody that listens to my Twitter space on a Sunday night at the transfer window, I wanted. The honest answer is I would have paid most of Vic money to get Joel Perreault because I think he's that good, and I think he would have been a perfect replacement for Vic. But we've gone down different roads. Also, totally fine and totally good, as we've seen at the weekend as well. So I can't look. I'm not in that job, so I'm not going to tell them how to do their job. But I do like Joel Perreault. So on that note, then we will finish up. But just before you go. We do a little bit of a word association. So I'm going to say to you either a name or a couple of things, and I just want one worded or a couple of worded answers, just whatever comes to your head straight away.
All right.
All right.
Let's do
So
it.
the first one then, Joel Perreault.
Silky.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Your favourite manager?
Russell Martin.
Oh, right. Okay. Swansea.com Stadium.
Home.
Okay. Funny you said that, actually, because the Leicester fan, when we said the King Power, said home as well.
I feel so unimaginative, but yeah.
I know, yeah. Your summer transfer window.
Surprisingly good.
So, all right, then you caught me on that one. And your 23-24 season.
Promotion.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Okay, thank you very much for coming on, Barney. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. If you can just tell us once again where we can find you and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at You Jack Podcast, just You Jack, and then obviously podcast. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Threads. It's a Swansea City podcast. We do cover a lot of the EFL stuff as well, so don't have to be a Swansea fan to follow along. If you are a Coventry fan, you want to know a little bit more about us before the weekend, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Come and have a listen. We're pretty lighthearted, and our co-host, like I say, is an Australian guy. So if you want to have a Swansea fan with a funny accent and a Swansea fan with a dog's name, you know where to come to. Come and join the fun. For Coventry fans listening as well, enjoy the season. I hope you don't have too much fun on the weekend, but for the remaining games, good luck to you, because that's a proper football club.
Thank you very much. Same back to you, and I will be there. By the way, I'm coming to you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much once again. Just before I do sign off, remember where you can catch us. All things Sky Blue. We are partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena as well. We are on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are on YouTube as well. Just after this goes out, about 8:30, I will be doing a In My Opinion with All Things Sky Blue Presents, and I'll be answering your questions and talking about the Sky Blues, so you can catch me on there as well. Go and like and subscribe. Thank you very much.